Coimbra with the team of Professor Viegas. We've been collaborating since 1990. It's a long way collaborating, and now we are dealing with this wildland neural interface problem. May I thank for his help to organizing this second workshop on Wuiwatch project. We are going to give an insight, very short insight of what the project is and which is the framework of this specific seminar or workshop. The objectives of this project, which is funded by the Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid Program, is to create and promote a network of all actors involved in the protection and prevention of forest fires in wildland neural interface in Europe. So we have to identify these involved actors and then go for the capitalization of experience, all the experience that we gathered in real fires, and to put it together in a database to share all this knowledge. We will prepare a discussion forum for the knowledge interchange across Europe. Identify of tools, systems, products, and all other elements that help us to protect our people, our houses, against fires in wildland neural interface. And finally, to produce a guidelines of good practices to be applied. Basically, what we want to do is to improve civil protection in wildland neural interface in the emergencies of forest fires. To achieve this, we've set a consortium of entities like Meteogrid, which is a private company, the ADAI from Portugal, the foundation for the Pau Costa Foundation in Spain, the University of Sassari in Italy, Seren in France. All this together bring the scientific knowledge, the operational knowledge, and also some of the existing solutions for the prevention and protection of forest fires in the wildland neural interface. These are real needs, and this is a real problem. Fires are hitting houses and are affecting and sometimes killing people. So it's a real big problem. So first of all, we need to prevent. With the help of our colleagues of the University of Sassari, which are present here, they came from Italy here to participate. They organized the first workshop in May this year in regards to what we are doing well, what we are not doing well, which are the open questions. This is the nature of these workshops, to discuss on open questions. What do we do not know, particularly about prevention? It's enough to create these safe areas without vegetation? That's enough? Or do we have to do something more in gardening, for example? Here we have accumulations of fuel in gardens. It is not only forest, but also gardens. We need to create maps of risk and try to understand if we can live within the forest and assume those risks and put firefighters' lives on risk or not. We need this fuel mapping in detail and risk mapping at different scales. This is what we discussed in the previous workshop. Basically, to implement rules and measures to make the living in the forest safer. These are some tools for risk mapping that are giving us an insight, which is the exposure of houses to the potential of the fire. Here we have the exposure to radiation according to the fuel load to the vegetation surrounding the houses. We may go beyond that and look into the detail of the houses. It's why we are here today to discuss how vulnerable the houses are against fires. And the first question is, okay, risk of what? One thing is the house without people, and a different object is a house with people inside. So we have to think differently. What we want to do is protect the house or protect the house with people inside sheltering. So it is interesting to start thinking about doing pre-triage, doing an inspection of every house in a settlement. And this is the framework, conceptual framework of today's workshop. is to look into risk at the local level, at the level of the house. It is normally accepted worldwide that the risk is a product of danger and vulnerability. Vulnerability implies exposure and susceptibility, and danger, the probability of having an unwanted forest fire event of a certain intensity. What you see here, it's all the opportunities that we have to reduce the risk. Reduce probability, reduce intensity by treating forest fuels, reduce the exposure to those sources of danger, or change the susceptibility, the unwanted consequences of exposing a vulnerable element to a source of danger. We have many things to do to protect houses and people, but the problem is that we do not know what's going on. We don't know exactly processes. There's a lot of things that we need to understand by looking into the fire, sharing experience, and experimenting in laboratory. These are the sources of danger that we have in the forest fires in the wild engineering interface. First of all, is flame contact. When we have flame contact with the house, it is very likely to have a destruction. So the closest fuels providing flame contact, whether they are small or large, they are the most important. We start thinking about managing the fuels from the house towards the forest. Then radiation, convection, fire embers, whether they are landing or entering the house, and smoke. Smoke frequently entails the problem, the real danger in the wildland terrain interface, the smoke in an area or smoke entering the house. But which are the processes associated to the destruction or the damage? First, external ignition due to the flame contact, radiation, convection, or fire embers. The internal ignition, because our houses are made out of unburnable materials like stone, bricks, and so. Why do our houses burn? Because the fire managed to break in or enter the house. So entering the house through some existing or forced entrances like windows breaking, it's important. Windows breaking, and then smoke leaking inside the house. That's important if we have people inside. There's nobody, there's no interest, but if there's people inside, smoke leaking, it's important. So which are the points of entrance? What we call the weak points. First, the existing permanent holes, vents, and so. The existing non-permanent, for example, a window can be open or closed. On the forced entrances, like the broken windows. These are the 3 points of entrance we have to take care of. Besides, we have this house skin, the envelope. There's a real transmission between the outside, the indoors, through the skin, and the thinnest skin in the house is the roof. Not only the roof, but also the sidings and the windows. So here's what we have, what we observe for almost 15 years, and you have observed here in Portugal. Now it's time to discuss about all this. We are inviting you in the Wuiwatch project to contribute with your experience, your thinkings, and to increment this knowledge in Europe. Here we have some of the experiments we will relate afterwards. The importance of the windows when exposed to radiant or the flame contact that entails the breaking of the window entrance of the fire embers and smoke. There's also needs about operations. We will hold in May 2016 a workshop devoted to operation the wild general interface, which is another challenge. There are so many agents. Here you have many of the agents involved in it. Needs communications and a common language to be coordinated effectively in the wild general interface. And finally, the human dimension. We have been spending many years studying wild engineering interface, and the final conclusion is without having the people educated and good practices, we do nothing. They have to be convinced that To live in the forest entails a responsibility and a number of good practices and maintenance of the house and the garden. The garden has to be, it's the closest field that you have to the house. It is your responsibility to take care of it and to adapt the gardening to the fire. Gardening, agricultural lands, orchids, and so. So the human dimension, to me, it's the more important, which is why we have the workshop at the end of the next year dealing exactly with this, the human dimension and the wildlife human interface. Now we are in the second one, very important one, dealing with a subject that has been poorly studied, but it is key for it. We have our houses safe. The homeowners will not worry about that, and they will stay safe away from the forest fire area instead of trying to save their houses. Besides, if our houses are prepared and certified to act as a shelter in case of a fire, we can use it in case of entrapment of people. It is much safer to stay in the house than outside. So, house vulnerability, it's important, for which we are asking you to contribute with your experience, our colleagues, with the experiments in laboratory, and share all this knowledge. As I said, we have another 2 workshops, and in Wuiwatch project, what we do in the workshops is to start a discussion and continue that in the forum. Here's to discuss, to contribute, and we will do that along 2016. As you know, we have as well a number of experiments, not to give an answer to questions, definitely, but to open new lines of research. May I say that's another important thing in wildlife interface. One is the human dimension. Second is a serious, systematic research with normalized experiments that leads to rules to be applied and good practices in a guide, technical guide, and then the regulation. By this is the rationale of it: education, research, good practices, regulation. That's a good track, and our colleagues are working on that in Portugal as well in France. Here are some of the networking we did with our colleagues in Sweden, in Greece, and you have a website, the Wuiwatch project, that we invite you to visit to provide us with your data, your organization, your profile, and in the next year to contribute with your experience on forest fires and discuss on the different subjects we are dealing with. There we will find some of the tools, the forum toolbox with some applications to analyze the risk on houses and on settlements, a library of more than 300 documents, scientific documents and other documents which to read, and finally, the most important, database of real cases of real fires affecting houses in Europe. Here's the website, and we are also very active in the social networks. Particularly, you can participate in the Facebook page and Twitter. So, you are here officially invited through ADAI to register in the network, maybe now providing us to Dr. Viegas or Luis Mario or myself your email, contact details as individual or as representative of an entity, as you do now, which I'm very thankful for it, to participate in the workshop and exercises, contribute with experiences, contribute with publications, and participate in the discussion, the forum, and as well propose solutions. I know that there are some private companies providing solutions to protect against fires. Now it's time to think about forest fires, and when the fire is coming from the outside, they can provide us with a wealth of knowledge, materials, and procedures to help us. Remember that Wuiwatch project is about networking and sharing. So I thank you very much for being here. I'm open for any other questions, and I'm here to help you on all these aspects. Thank you very much.